It's never been easier to purchase IELTS books with the show. Just go to tiki.vn, and with just one mouse click, you'll be able to find the perfect IELTS books you've been waiting for. Purchase anywhere and receive discounts. Go to tiki.vn and buy. Oh, we're at another episode of IELTS Face-Off, and every episode I get clues. Oh, okay. This is one clue. It's called Ghép từ bền by Leon Quang Lê. It's an actual piece that talks about cải lương. I wonder if there are any artists who can actually sing cải lương and also know English. I haven't seen any of them. Oh, okay. This is another clue. You guys know who this is? This is Lea Salonga, and she's on Broadway. She's actually acted in Broadway pieces such as Miss Saigon. I'm hearing cải lương again. I'm sure it's cải lương, and I'm sure it's Broadway. And I think I know this one guy who knows cải lương, knows Broadway, and can speak English. Let's see who he is.
My name is Leon Lê, and my Vietnamese name is Leon Quang. For almost 20 years, I worked as a professional musical theater performer in New York City. And in 2017, I've returned to Vietnam to work on my first feature film called Lắng. I'm a Pisces, which means I'm very romantic, a big dreamer, and very unrealistic.
Well, Leon Quang Lê, he's an incredible person. He's super talented. He's from the USA, and he's here back in Vietnam, and he's creating a lot of amazing products. So let's go and find out what his story is. The studio is super dark, but I bet there is somebody that's sitting right there. And it's always gonna be so exciting. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you? Good seeing you.
It's so great seeing you.
Yes.
Well, I'm excited to start talking to you, so let's get started.
Likewise.
Okay.
Let's start.
Let's face off. Now, you started off on Broadway in New York, and now you're doing a lot of other things, right? You write scripts, you direct, you act. What has been your favorite thing to do so far?
I actually enjoy all of the things that I'm doing, but I have to say, it's much easier being an actor, especially in New York, because everything is like so well taken care of. You know, you just show up at work at 7:30, do your show, and then you leave at 10:30 or 11 and go out to eat, and then you go home and sleep, and the next day you just do your thing again. But here, being a filmmaker, being a director, is 24/7. That's a full-time job.
Now, you did mention something to one of your co-writers. You said that you cried 3 times. You know, when you were
you read that.
What were those 3 things that made you cry?
Actually, I cried 3 times during the whole process of making Lắng. The first time was when I found the last investor, because it was a long process. It took me 1 entire year to find all the investors for the film, because no one believed in the project. When I found the last 10% and the movie actually can, be green light and move forward, I just burst to tears. And then the second time was when my father passed away during post-production of the film. So I had to put everything on pause and go back to the States to help my mom with the funeral and take care of everything, and then rush back here. And then the third time is the day after the premiere of the film. And I actually get to see how the movie was received by the audience, and it was really emotional, because this film is kind of like very personal to me. So I didn't think that many people would relate so passionately, so deeply, so strongly like that. So it was quite shocking to see that.
I'm sure people ask you a lot is, why it's cải lương, and I'm sure a lot of those questions come up. And I do know that you have been listening to cải lương ever since you were young.
Right.
What kind of emotions cải lương kind of elicited in you when you were growing up?
You know, actually, I don't know what it is. I just know that ever since I was little, the sound of the instruments, of the music, and the sound of the vocal, of the singing, it just really captivated me. And until this day, I listen to cải lương at least once a day. Unconsciously, I just like, at the gym or something, you know, when people are listening to like, to get motivated, I'm just like, ding, 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 you know, and people have no idea. Sometimes it's kind of funny, you know, I'm on a treadmill, like, and then people have no idea in my mind I'm listening to a bóng cổ.
Oh, wow. So you know the Leon at 20-something years old, right, and the Leon now, how are those two Leons different?
Older and wiser, I hope, you know. But I think, you know, deep inside, I'm still me. The best thing about growing older is just you care less about what people think. Also, I've learned everything is going to be funny after like a week. You know, even the worst thing that you think is going to happen, after a week, it's a good story to tell. If you survive it, of course. You know.
So you're a perfectionist, I can obviously tell.
I have really good discipline, I think. You know, if I can do better, why stop before I reach there? I think it comes from a dancer's mentality. You know, with all of those years of training being a dancer, you can't be a dancer and not have discipline.
Absolutely.
Right? You can't have a career. You can't go to the casting and say, well, I only kick that high. Can I have a job? You know, if you want to be picked, then you better be fierce. You better be incredible. You know, there are people who's always going to work harder than you. So if you want to be part of the game, then you have to have discipline. Are
you very picky when you select the people that's going to participate in your projects and in your life?
Yes. We don't have time to waste on the people that, you know, not going to enrich your life one way or another. I don't even have enough time to spend with the people that I want to spend time with. Why waste time with the people that you don't?
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming by.
My pleasure.
This is an educational show. And what is that one or two idioms or vocabulary that you would like to share with our audience in English?
Screw your courage to the sticking place.
Oh, I love that. That is so, you know, passionate.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite book up until this point?
You know what? The last book I read was Call Me By Your Name.
Call Me By Your Name.
And I was sobbing for an entire week. It was incredible. So the movie didn't live up to the book for me because the book was like so well written and yeah, it was beautiful.
Okay, I definitely have to go back and get the book on Kindle and watch it.
It's much different than the film.
Okay. We've had a really good conversation, but now I'm going to challenge you to a few challenges that's very typical of the show. So are you ready to partake in the IELTS challenge?
I guess, depends on what it is.
Okay, it's so easy. Let's go on to the IELTS challenge.
Let's.
Face-Off IELTS challenge coming right up next. We're back in the IELTS studio with our contender for IELTS Face-Off challenge this time, and it is
Leon Lê.
So I'm going to bring you back to your younger times when you were on Broadway, and you're going to sing a couple of Broadway songs for us in Vietnamese.
Bring it on.
All right, so let's start off with Annie.
Tomorrow. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know that song, but it's iconic, right?
It's very iconic.
So
you got to do the action like tomorrow.
Ngày mai, anh yêu em ngày mai. Ngày mai chỉ có một ngày nữa thôi. Ngày mai.
Okay, next, Les Miserables.
Tôi mơ giấc mơ, thời gian đi mất.
Oh, that's nice.
Khi tình yêu mới và đời đang sống. Tôi mơ giấc mơ tình yêu sẽ không bao giờ chết. That's it. I need time to sit and work on it.
It sounds like you know you're kind of like gushing it all out instead of you're reflecting on your love, you know, and a lost time.
It's all here.
All right. Well, those are great songs. Do you want to sing those songs again in English so that people actually know what those songs are supposed to sound like?
Can I say no?
Would you want to say no? Can I say no as well?
I guess. I mean, what's the setup? Let's see. I dream a dream in times gone by, when hope was high and life worth living. I dreamed that love would never die. I dreamed that God would be forgiving. But the tigers come at night, with their voices soft as thunder, as they tear your hopes apart, as they turn your dream to shame. That's it.
Ooh, oh, I'm melting.
It's a sad song.
All right, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, it's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
And guys, please don't go anywhere. We still have another section coming right up, and it is the IELTS expert section.
And next, IELTS On the Go for the first time ever stop at Dallas City. Đắng is so excited to share with you the fruitful talk with the youngsters from Dallas. You are going to be amazed by their English speaking skills and the stories. All are great. You choose the one for Voice of this week. It seems to be really hard. Who will be that one with the title Voice of the Week? We'll have the answer very soon. But wait, let's get to the studio first with Phoebe and our IELTS expert, Oliver Holmes, right now.
Are you practicing the IELTS with IELTS Face-Off? Are you racking your brains to find the right IELTS book?
IELTS books are rare to find, mostly out of stock, overpriced.
Well, there's a treasure of IELTS books waiting for you on tiki.vn. Just by logging on to tiki.vn, you can find immediately the IELTS book that you've been searching for. And of course, there are always discounts. Buying books is now so easy with tiki.vn. Just log on to tiki.vn and purchase. This is the IELTS Face-Off expert section, and we always have our lovely experts with us. Today we have Oliver Holmes. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. But of course, before we chat, you know, I would love to take us on a journey with our lovely friend Đắng. And he's going to go to Dallas and speak with a few people there.
Great. I've never been to Dallas. I'd love to go.
And neither have I. So we're going to go there right now.
What up, guys? Hello, studio. Hello, Phoebe. Here I am in Dallas. It's a beautiful city, but because of the rain, we're forced to stay inside. And I'm super bummed out, but it's okay. I have some lovely company here with me, and we're going to get to know them soon. So let's do a round of introductions, shall we? Beginning with you, the only gentleman in the group.
Hello everyone, my name is Leon, and I'm from Thăng Long High School for the Gifted. I'm in 12th grade.
Hello everyone, my full name is Phạm Thiên Trang and I'm his classmate actually.
Hello, my name is Hay. I'm also a member of 12th English class at Thăng Long High School.
Okay, so you guys all know each other.
Yes. Yeah.
I think the introduction can speak volumes about a person that you're trying to get to know. I think, you know, pronunciation is a very telltale sign of how good your English is, and your English is obviously all very good. So to what or whom do you attribute such excellent English?
Well, first of all, I think that my speaking and my listening skill is they got improved by me watching some sort of channels on TV, like Disney Channel or Cartoon Network or whatever like that. I heard them a lot, and like the way that they pronounce or the way that they like use grammars or use vocabulary. And besides from that, in my case, my teachers, they are very good. They help us a lot with the materials. They help us a lot with our vocabularies and grammars, structures. So
I think grammar and vocabulary is what they do the best for us.
Okay.
But in terms of like speaking, I think it's involved a lot in personal training yourself. The way that I improve my speaking, I really depends on personating, you know, and it helped me a lot with the intonation and the accent, and try to like expose myself to the language in many ways.
That's very true, because that's my approach as well. The majority of the time, comes down to like copying other people. And it's actually not that hard once you get down to it. What about you? In what aspect do you think your teachers at school help you improve the most?
They provide us a lot of opportunities to practice public speaking in class. We get a chance to speak in front of a lot of people, and we get confident, and we cope up with all of the pressure when we stand and talk in front of a lot of people, and it also helps us to improve our pronunciation.
Okay. A lot of our viewers are actually not only students, but there are a lot of teachers who watch the show as well, and I think teachers can definitely benefit from the way that your class is conducted, because a recurring theme that I've seen from what you guys are sharing is teacher empowering students to improve on their own, like give them the adequate tools so that they can mature and kind of succeed on their own. So you guys are senior in high school, right?
Yes.
What grade you? Okay, so you guys are going to have to take the IELTS soon. Anybody planning to go abroad?
Well, I'm thinking of Canada,
Canada.
like the country.
Yeah.
It's great. I feel so.
I love Canada as well. What about you?
Well, I'm thinking of Australia.
Australia. Yeah. Okay, so Canada, Australia. What about you?
I like United States.
Well, regardless of your destination, when you arrive there, there's one thing you got to do. You got to talk.
Right.
So we give our guests an opportunity to talk to an IELTS expert and get feedback. And you guys are going to sit a simulation exam. I think it's going to be super helpful. However, we have only one IELTS expert and we have 3 of you. So you kind of have to decide among yourselves who's going to sit the exam.
When it comes to something that is not like we cannot decide who is going to be the chosen one or something like that, we're gonna use the random ROG, like random dot RG to like choose the one with the number.
I go with number 1.
I go with number 2.
3.
Okay. We have 1 as a random number. So, lady number 1, you're the one who is going to the exam room. Are you nervous?
Yes.
Ever taken the test before?
It's your lucky day.
I've never taken
No, it's
before.
Okay. It's okay. It's going to be super fun. Actually, I'm just kidding. It's going to be super intimidating. It's okay. So the exam room is just this way. Just head down right this way. Okay, and we'll wait for you here. Good luck.
So we picked Chang to be the person who's our contender today. So are you ready to face off with this girl?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
This is Voice of this week. Chang is so confident to enter the speaking test room to face off Oliver Holmes, our IELTS expert in the simulate real-time speaking test. Be eager to check out the performance and the evaluation from the expert. And next, you can't miss the useful tips for this week. Focusing on speaking, Oliver and Phoebe will discuss about how to utilize comparisons in speaking tests. And in Book of the Week, we will bring you a book named Action Plan for IELTS. Excited for the next part of the show? All comes to you right now.
Do you think it's important to keep in touch with friends you knew as a child?
Interesting questions. I have to say that I have this firm belief in the positive outcomes of a childhood friendships, and the reason for this, lies in the innocence and the purity, I guess, come from such a friendships. And furthermore, as I grow older, I realize such a relationship that is intimate and that is close like you have when you're a child, it's very, very difficult to form and to foster. So yeah, if possible, I would definitely, keep in contact with friends that I knew as a child.
Now, in this next part, I'm going to give you a topic and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say. I'd like you to describe something you don't have now, but you'd really like to own in the future.
Honestly, I have like a never-ending list of what I want to possess in the future, but the only thing that pops up in my mind right now, probably the book Murdered on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. I don't know if I pronounced the author's name right or not. It's a detective novel, and I've been desiring for this book for quite a time now, since I watched a movie back in January, I believe. The film was absolutely fascinating, and I was utterly absorbed in the intensity of the movie. So therefore, as soon as I finished watching it, I said to myself, I have to have this book, not only to make it a remembrance of such a great movie, but also to have a better grasp of the story that go behind the film. And one more thing, that I am a big fan of detective novel, and I have already have one book from Agatha Christie, so there's no reason for me not buying another book from her. So all in all, Murdered on the Orient Express is my must-have item in the future. Thank you.
So you've been talking about something you'd like to have in the future, and I'd like to ask you 1 or 2 more general questions related to this. Let's consider first of all television and films. Do you think televisions and films can make people want to get new possessions?
Well, from my perspective, I do believe that TV and films create an impulse among people to have new possessions. I mean, take me for example. I did tell a story of myself, buying a new book after I watched a movie, and that's because I just couldn't resist my own fondness to what my favorite thing, that is, a detective novel, and that's explained people's inclinations to, buying new things when under the influence of TV and films. So, briefly, people purchase new items after they watch a movie or they see it on TV, just because they grow a strong liking to it.
Thank you very much. That's the end of the speaking test.
Thank you for your listening.
Thank God she's here.
Thank God Trang's back. So how was it?
I hope I did good, but I think I did good.
Okay, so that's very modest and humble of you. I'm sure you were amazing. Anyway, let's just see how your speaking abilities translate into like an IELTS band score IELTS performance. Okay, so we're going to hear from our IELTS expert that we have on set right now. Okay.
All right, Oliver, so what do you think of Tin Chan's performance?
Actually, I really liked the way that she spoke. I thought that her pronunciation was very good. In terms of her fluency and coherency, I think that she'd get good points in the IELTS test because she used quite a good range of discourse markers. Things like, I guess, take me for example, from my perspective, just like I said a few moments ago. All of those were really great to hear, and they'd be the sort of discourse markers I'd expect a good candidate to use. So she just kept on speaking. That was really good for her fluency marks. In terms of her vocabulary or her lexical resource, she generally spoke with a good enough range to talk about all of the topics, and I thought occasionally she used some less usual vocabulary. But there were a few mistakes in her speaking. She said, "The one who remains with me even in my difficulties," which doesn't really make sense. I think it makes more sense for her to say, "the people who stay by my side even when it's difficult." So yeah, I thought overall that she was very, very good. But she could perhaps do with a little bit more unusual vocabulary, a few more idiomatic expressions perhaps.
Wow, so yeah, if I didn't know any better, I think that you would do pretty good. Okay, so what do you guys think about the comments?
It's extremely helpful, and I definitely think it's going to help me a lot in my real IELTS exam.
Okay. The IELTS speaking test is only intimidating because, I mean, you don't know what to expect, but now you know exactly what to expect, so it should be a breeze, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's helpful not only for the test taker, but also for the observers as well.
Yes, of course. No
right?
doubt.
And you know what I enjoy very much? It's spending time with you today. And I've prepared some gifts for you guys. It's from VTV7 and the British Council. Okay, and I would like to give these to you. Okay. So here you go.
Thank you.
Such an honor.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. And, thank you for very graciously agreeing to do the interview, and thank you for your time. Okay, so viewers, I hope you guys have enjoyed this really intimate conversation that we've had here, and I hope it was useful. But don't go anywhere because we're coming back with some more tips right this way.
So when it comes to using comparisons in speaking, what is your opinion on this?
Well, I think it's a really, really useful way to make your speaking longer immediately. For example, if we're talking about buying things, we could be talking about the price of things in the past and how much it costs nowadays and how much it might cost in the future. So that's a really quick way of increasing the length of your speaking. But also it's an interesting way to speak anyway, to talk about the past, present and future and give the listener some context to what you're doing.
Now today's topic is on theater and movies, you know, and creating a fabulous masterpiece. Have you been able to create your own masterpiece?
Unfortunately not. I wish I was talented like Quentin Tarantino or somebody like that, but no. I'm hoping that I'm a late bloomer and that I'll eventually be a modern Mozart in a few years' time, perhaps.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Well, guys, every week we have, of course, in Season 3, a Book of the Week section. So let's check out our book of this week.
This book is really good for last-minute preparation, as the front cover suggests. Lots of short, essential strategies and tips for each skill and short practice activities throughout the book.
You've just seen our book of the week. If you're interested to purchase that book, make sure you check out tiki.vn to be able to purchase books anywhere, anytime, and there will always be discounts. So enjoy shopping for the most amazing piece of knowledge that you can obtain. Today's topic is on theater, and even though today's topic is really about something that is artsy, but I think fundamentally it is about being passionate and being able to dedicate our time, our energy, and our creativity into causes that we think are important. Leon is our guest today, and I think Leon is super cool. He's super passionate. He says he's sexy. I think he's quite as well. But you know, he's been able to travel across the seas to come back to Vietnam and to really give light into an artistic form that most people don't even think about anymore. So how do we use our communication abilities? How do we use our creativity to shed light on some things that we find important? I think that's super cool. Let us know what you think about this episode on our social media platforms. And until next time, we'll see you again. Ciao, ciao, ciao.